Well, Wes Wilson and Lindsay Hubbard like Hellman's mayonnaise, and Sierra Miller likes Duke's mayonnaise. But for my money, the best mayonnaise is Kraft. No, it's not as sexy as Hellman's, and no, it's not as cool as Duke's. But if you absolutely need mayo on a sandwich and all you have is Kraft, I promise it has some of the main factors you're looking for in a mayonnaise. And with the new Easy Squeeze bottles that Kraft is launching, you'll be able to pour mayo 25% quicker the next time you get a mayo craving. So if your grocery store doesn't have Hellman's or Duke's, get crafty and grab Kraft. My name is Riley Hamilton, and now here's Amy with more news.
Wow, you're making me hungry.
Really? Are you a mayo head?
I was gonna try and say like you're making me hungry, and it didn't really work. So
well, that's okay. Well, just knowing that I made you hungry potentially, reading that ad copy makes me excited.
You know what I keep in my house is Kewpie.
Oh my God! When I was looking up major mayo brands for research on that segment, Kewpie mayonnaise is top 5 or 6. That's new to me, that type of mayonnaise, but it's like coming up, bubbling up. You know what else is an underrated mayonnaise is Sir Kensington's. Have you heard of this?
Oh,
it's got
I think I could recognize that.
Yeah, it's got like a duke on the front wearing a monocle, and he's wearing a tuxedo, and I guess it's organic, but I've never seen that around either. I'm kind of I don't know, call me old fashioned, but I'm kind of a Kraft mayonnaise guy.
Okay, I watched the West and Lindsay advertisement, and was it implied? Did Lindsay at some point say that she hates mayo?
Yeah, she had to for that ad.
But it felt like a reference, was it not?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, meaning like in her time on Summer House, has she ever canonically said these are my feelings from mayo? No, I think that they had to write Hellman's ad.
Retcon.
They had to retcon and say, this only works if Lindsay will say she didn't like mayo before, and Wes gets her to turn her entire mind towards being supportive of mayo with this Hellman's. And what was sort of interesting to me about this ad is that I think it's the first time that they tried to put it in the like in the Summer House aesthetics, you know, where it had a confessional, and they rented out like a kitchen that looked like a Summer House, and then it just had so many delightful moments. What was that when he wrote on the thing and it said, I'll make you eat your words. You do like mayo now. And it seemed like Lindsay was kind of converted at the end.
I'm happy for Wes that he's getting in on these ad deals. So then hopefully he can buy a house in Nashville soon.
I hope so too. There's no conflict with Drizzlers and Hellman's, right? Because they're just, even though they're both sauces, they're not competing in any way. I mean, people who put mayonnaise on dog food, it's not necessarily for that. Drizzlers is like completely different, right? It's because it's for dogs.
Yeah, maybe if you're nasty, you could put the Drizzlers on your hot dog or something like that.
Yeah, if it was edible or safe to consume for humans, I could imagine Drizzlers being really good. And then what makes this story even more interesting, this mayonnaise war, it started out as I said, this is just fun, fresh. This kind of gave a big kick in the ass to mayonnaise because it's just so fun what West and Lindsay did. And then you sent me this thing. I'll be honest. You sent me Sierra Miller got in the mix, the mayo mix. And she said, I only eat Duke's. And then it almost plays into the sort of a friendly rivalry between Sierra and West, you know, that there would be this sort of mayo war. And then Tom Schwartz is commenting on both of these posts. I don't know if you saw him. He goes, I don't like mayo, but this sure is a beautiful ad. He said that to Hellman's. And then he goes to Sierra, he goes, oh my God, it's a big day for mayo heads, but I'm still standing firm against mayonnaise. And a lot of other Bravo celebrities are kind of having fun with the comments
popping off. I love Sierra's is like, it's like she has a beautiful bounty from a farmer's market, but also mayonnaise.
And it has, if I remember correctly, Duke's is sort of just sitting it perfectly amidst all of the food items that you could put mayonnaise on. Yeah. And then, I think Katie and Ariana were brand ambassadors for Hellman's. Wasn't the Super Bowl ad? Also, they were talking about how to wet or put a proper sauce on one of their something about her sandwiches, and I'm pretty sure Hellman's was responsible for that. So I think once I think Bravo celebrities have such niche but fervent fan bases that once they get a little taste of what they can bring, like when Ariana and Katie did the Something About Her, how happy we are for them to get those ads. These brands love it, you know. So
yeah, I know. I wonder those agencies and stuff that work for those brands, the whole game must be so different than it was even 5 years ago. Like, I've been watching these videos on TikTok of a guy that's helping his like 90-year-old veteran neighbor just get by, like taking him grocery shopping and like helping him around the house and stuff. And I got a new one today, and they got like all PR. I don't know if it was a PR package or they got like coupons and then the guy bought them, but they got like a shit ton of Stouffer's, like frozen stuff. And I'm like, so there's some like person that works at Stouffer's that's on TikTok all the time and is like, oh, this old guy likes Stouffer's, let's send him a thing and then comment, and then like hopefully they'll mention it and then we'll make a video about that. Like, it's such a thing.
Yeah, like inserting brands into like viral TikToks if they make organic sense. We know this, you and I, firsthand. Well, not firsthand, but secondhand, when Ariana was doing Duracell batteries,
Right.
and it couldn't have been more seamless and perfect, because remember what Tom Sandoval said. I mean, don't even get me started. He said, what did he? Oh my God, I can't
was like,
even
I'm
say
the only
it.
one that fucking buys batteries and pens around here.
Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about Tom Sandoval, because apparently tonight is his big America's Got Talent event where he is showing off to the world his rendition of Take on Me, which we talked about on Patreon. I got some bad news for people who still dislike Tom Sandoval. Simon Cowell basically was broken down in tears after seeing Tom Sandoval's rendition because he loved it so much. Howie Mandel gave a rare hoot and holler, screaming at the top of his lungs when he saw it. So I don't know what it's going to be like once this comes out, what the Tom Sandoval situation is going to be.
Everything has changed.
I wanted to tell you, Howie, I didn't know that Howie was sitting on that jury box. I have to say, jury tampering is in order, because Simon Cowell, you can't buy him. He's horrible to people he hates. He's mean-spirited, he's awful, unless you charm his ass off, and then he gives you the best compliment. Howie Mandel has a personal relationship with Tom Sandoval. Remember when Tom went on his podcast? Howie's now...
It's like the worst thing we've ever seen in our lives. It was like the first big thing he did, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, Howie, remember, shaved his mustache off him live on that thing. Yeah, but I just think it's a conflict of interest, because obviously Howie's going to be like, this guy, you know, gave me a huge appearance on my podcast. Now I'm going to pretend like I love this Aha Take on Me song.
I love the way it's like the bygone way that they edit that, where when he starts, Simon's face is like, what the hell is this absolute garbage? And then halfway through, he's kind of like, and then by the end, he's like, ha ha ha.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's amazing. And the audience, I said this already on Monday, I hate to say it again, but the audience needs a little bit of time to warm up. They're taking cues from Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell's face is on a big screen pointed to the audience, and they're waiting for cues from Cowell. And when he starts to go from that grimace where he's pissed off, and then to getting that little Grinch-esque smile, then the audience goes, we can run wild, we can start dancing in the aisles. I've never seen, if you haven't seen this video yet of Tom Sandoval performing, you gotta see it.
The audience is like, extras, extras, extras.
Yeah, no, they're having so much fun over there. But you know, that's happening tonight, so I don't know what the reaction is going to be, you know, by the fan base once this records, but you know, or once this comes out.
Meanwhile, today is Ariana's 40th birthday.
Yes.
And she's looking hot on Love Island. I saw they had to post a thing. She, I think, said it on the show, and then they also posted a message to the viewers that was like, hey guys, like, this show is meant in all good fun. Please watch what you post online. Our cast are real people.
Wait,
apparently the like online commentary has gotten so like severe and savage that they're like putting out a warning.
Oh my God, the internet needs another victim for all of their hate. They say, who can we try to hate with all of our might to get them to get off the show. But yeah, I don't watch Love Island, so I don't know. But I've heard that people are really in an uproar because some of the Islanders are voting off people that the fan base loves. So the fan base is starting to send death threats to them, and try. No, I'm just kidding. Probably not Death
I
Threats,
mean,
but
if they had to post something, it must have been pretty bad.
yeah. So, well, yeah, so good. Love Island is going. Do you watch that?
No, it's too much. I can't open that box. I know everybody loves it. I have friends who absolutely love it. I'm just like, Bravo, watching everything on Bravo is a full-time job. I can't do it.
I know. No, same here. There's way too many episodes. But we do have to say this. Since we last recorded, Paige Disorbo made a huge appearance on Love Island, and I only caught this, I only saw this in the news or whatever, but apparently they were playing a game or something, and then all of a sudden Paige was not a part of the game anymore, and everybody was like, where did she go? Where did she go? And I guess she was wearing a kind of a leather outfit or something, and she got too hot, and so she was about to pass out, so they had to pull her from Love Island.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
No, I was texting with people because we had already texted about that dress because I recognized it from the after show from last season because I was like, why the fuck would you? I don't know why she would wear it in either scenario because I think it's weird to wear a dress like that in the after show where you're seated the entire time. Because it's like a floor length gown with like the midsection cut out. So I was like, that's got to be awful to just sit in. And then she wore it on this like beach show. And I'm like, no wonder you passed out. It's like the hottest thing ever.
Yeah, and I think she explained all of this in great detail of what happened.
Yeah, like the mic pack and then whatever.
She knew that she was, So, awful for her, never want to have that happen, like passing out. But then I think she just came back to restake her claim on the show. She's wearing a completely different outfit that's much more breathable and allows for a lot more access to air, cool, kind of I don't know what you like, a kind of more of a bathing
linens,
suit.
natural fibers.
Yeah, stuff like that. So, Paige, congratulations. That's going to be one for Islanders to think about, or Love Island fans to think about forever. Congrats to Paige. And then I wanted to say this kind of sad news. Dermot Mulroney has has unfortunately gotten divorced from Prima Apollinari. I feel so bad for... Dermot, did you see this news?
That missed me completely.
Oh, it's all over TMZ. Unfortunately, Dermot Mulroney sent Prima Alpolera her walking papers. He said, I'd like to divorce you after 15 years. And this is kind of an inside scoop. Dermot Mulroney just appeared on the cover of Entertainment Weekly with the cast of My Best Friend's Wedding. And people are, I guess, assuming that once he got back with that cast for that photo shoot, that it kind of reinvigorated something in him. He was having just so much fun with those guys there, and it brought him back to earlier times that he wanted to immediately divorce Prima. So it's not good for people who had been, thinking about that relationship. But
I always, there's Dermot Mulroney, and then there's Dylan McDermott, right? Is that who I always confuse the names?
Of course, yeah. And I don't know the other one you said. Dylan McDermott? I don't know him.
He was on The Practice.
Oh, The Practice. Oh, of course.
Nip Tuck, I think.
I know Dermot a lot more.
Dermot's fire.
Dermot's awesome. He is in About Schmidt. He plays this mattress salesman. Do you remember About Schmidt?
I'm due for a rewatch.
It's really he went full method. It's unlike a performance I've never seen, and I didn't know who he was. I never would have thought that he was supposed to be this sort of heartthrob hunk, actor, because he has he just is a kind of he transforms this role and gives it a new kind of life as this mattress salesman in About Schmidt.
I love him on Enlightened. She has to choose between him and Luke Wilson, and it's one of the hardest choices ever.
Oh my God! Does she choose? Spoilers for Enlightenment. Does she choose Luke?
I feel like she ends up like shit out of luck. Like they both suck. Like the Dermot Mulroney's a like staunch reporter who like ultimately like cares more about the scoop than her. Like he's kind of using her, and then her ex is like a drug addict who like can't get his life together. So like it's kind of both a shitty option. And then I think it might be like a cliffhanger because they never made that next season. Oh,
really? I thought I remember the final scene is her and Luke Wilson on like bleachers, and they're kind of like talking about maybe that they could possibly have a future, but I haven't watched it since it came out. So, but I didn't even remember that Dermot Mulroney was in it. So shame on me.
Yeah. He's like the cool reporter, like whistleblower reporter.
Oh, holy shit. Oh my God. I got to watch that again. Now that there's Mike White fever, I should go back to Enlightenment and watch that. I was going to say to you, sort of a boring summer of news so far.
At least in the Bravo world.
Yeah. Oh, right. Of course. Oh, no. Yeah, I guess I mean like sort of not as fun news as last year in the summer.
Absolute shit news.
Last year we had Brat Summer, Baby Four Seasons. Gypsy Rose had just broken out of prison.
We didn't know how good we had it.
Like, we were having the time of the submersible. Like, we were having... Well, that wasn't fun, but, like, there was just so much more summer news, and now I feel like you and I are scratching... You went away for a full week, and there wasn't one big news story that we missed. So, I don't know if that's a good thing, or... but then you keep saying the right thing, which is that there's so much... other news that maybe it's kind of overshadowing sort of like more entertaining news.
I feel like, well, maybe we have to get more into like wartime era for cutie things like Baby Four Seasons. Like we need our Shirley Temple. Like we need our who's the next Baby Four Seasons to distract us from the horrors. That's like, hey,
let's do it.
It's us.
Yeah, let's do a sort of Shirley Temple-esque...
Good time, lollipop.
Oh my God, it doesn't seem too hard. If you wanted to just like come over for a few hours to think of a little song and a routine. I was thinking it kind of embodies a lot of things we like that sort of frick and frack ethos, Abbott and Costello, Shirley Temple, Frank Sinatra. We could do kind of a... I've been reading about these old variety shows because I read this Lorne Michaels biography, which was incredible. But there used to be so many shows that were just like Shirley Temple's dancing hour, well, I can't think of one other like 50 celebrity, but yeah, it was like Shirley Temple's dancing hour, and she would just be
vaudeville
like,
back.
Yeah, totally. I think if you and I wanted to set up my phone, we put on Ginger, who's the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers outfits?
Maybe we could do like a sailor, not to get political, but like like Channing Tatum and Hail Caesar,
of course.
That kind of a vibe.
I was just thinking that. Yeah. Let's put some kind of surface where you and I can go up and down on it with different dancing steps, and let's write a song about how happy people could be someday. Like very hopeful, optimistic stuff with dance numbers, and then some like sketches in there too.
Yeah. I was just talking about on I Love Lucy, which would be great inspiration because she was always inspired by the vaudeville acts and always trying to put together a little sketch. She did one time with Bob Hope where they dressed up as umpires and they had a little song called like Nobody Likes the Ump, and it was like about how everyone like hates on the ump, and I was like, that's good.
Oh yeah. There's so many. I'm trying to think of one sort of issue that you and I could sort of get our finger on the pulse on and kind of have a fun, upbeat song about. Well, probably not anything that I'm thinking currently, but if you and I just had maybe 30 minutes to say workshop something, I could imagine a Bob Hope and Lucille Ball-esque sort of dance
maybe
number.
We could pretend to have a rivalry. Like there's that one time when Ethel wears the same dress as Lucy and they sing a song about friendship and the dress has flowers all over it, and throughout the song they rip the flowers off each other's dress. Like maybe we could have something where we have a rivalry within the context of the song. Maybe a boxing theme.
Yeah, I love that idea. I was thinking, those are set in stone, so that's 30 minutes of it. And then I was thinking, you go to your garbage cans to throw something away, and then I pop out of it, and I say, "Do you mind if I live here?" And then you and I have a fun like song about how I live in your. Sorry, well, let's workshop that
you
one.
Live in the trash.
I live in your. I live in your.
Maybe you read the news. Old dirty newspapers from the trash, and that's like where we get what we read, like talk about. That could be the start of it. You're my trash man. Something about the trash man.
Yeah, trash man news.
It's the Trash Man News.
Trash Man News, the dress you said where I picked the posies off a dress because we wear the same thing. I loved the sailor dance number, and this thing basically is probably 45 minutes already. And
this is giving like summer camp, like fireside sketch hour where you have like 10 minutes to come up with something.
Totally. I'm definitely inspired. Let's talk, after this podcast.
Lauren,
call us. Lauren needs a new show. Apparently he's kind of getting tired of SNL, and so. Do
you think anyone will ever run SNL besides him?
I want to say, actually, thank you for teeing me up. So people say that Colin Jost is basically, metaphorically putting little drops of poison in Lauren's coffee to try to get him to succeed because he's the head writer. But for my money, I think it should be John Mulaney, who completely revitalized that show. John Mulaney's doing that live talk show that he has now, which is basically like, oh, put that on my resume. I can do live television now. And I just think that there's something so singular about John Mulaney's humor. And plus, he's been an SNL performer, an SNL writer. I was just thinking about this because I was reading this book. And I was like, I think he'd be absolutely perfect. And then another huge contender is Tina Fey, who obviously embodies all of those same characteristics. But I just don't know if Tina Fey would want to do it at this point in her life. But obviously she could.
I don't think anyone would want to do that job.
I think John Mulaney would.
I think he said he didn't on
He said it?
WTF.
That's just him playing coy. Mark asked that?
I think I'll check on this. They covered that topic.
Wow. Oh, all right. Well, shut my mouth. In Lauren's biography, they talk about how Mark Maron would talk every single episode about how he ate a Tootsie Roll out of Lauren's thing. And I remember that.
I love it. I'm going to miss him so much.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Well, if he needs people to take over WTF, I think that would be sort of a fun side project.
Give us the RSS feed.
Oh, my God. How much is that thing raking in? Oh, my God. I would even try to play the guitar every once in a while.
You could do it.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, good news. Good news. But you and I have a lot of stuff to catch up on. Am I right?
It's true. Yeah, we didn't really acknowledge, I'm back. We're back.
Yeah. Oh, right.
So thank you for your patience. I know we kind of, unfortunately, missed a great episode of The Valley, so we will cover that still because it's definitely worth talking about, along with the one from this week.
Yeah, we have to talk about the episode. It was called You've Been Served. It was almost like I was just like, this is too good. I can't believe it. I mean, I wanted you obviously to be having the time of your life in Ireland, but I couldn't believe after 3 dud episodes of The Valley, our luck, of course, is that there would be the most potent, heartbreaking episode of The Valley. But it doesn't matter. I was thinking it's actually better that we've all had time to settle down. It's not as it's not as topical anymore. You and I have thought about it a lot more. So I think it'll be just as relevant to talk about it now.
Yes.
You've Been Served, it was called.
It's true. It basically ends with what's it called? Jack's getting served.
Yeah.
Is there another way to say it?
No, Jack's getting served. And he thinks it's I don't want to step on it, but he goes, oh, this is the disillusion of my podcast. But he was completely wrong. So let's go through it. We'll do the high level shit here. But it starts out with Jack's just popping out of the facility, being picked up by Jesse. And he was in there for 30 days. It's been confirmed. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought it was 17 and then 17. But everyone agrees that it was 30 days. Jack says it. Zach says it. Brittany says it at some point. And there's no way that they would let him get away with that amount of lying if it wasn't actually 30 days. So he was in there for a significant amount of time. But he was also doing everything in the world in addition to trying to seek help for himself, which we've covered extensively.
Right.
And I could see that it was sort of, there was immediately, in my mind, there was the Jax that was thinking, he was introspective for like maybe 2 minutes. He goes, 30 days. I can't believe I did it. 30 days. It's going to be good. I learned a lot. I was crying so much in there. I thought I was saying things that I was going to take to my grave, but I shared them. But then immediately there was this little, like within 5 minutes, he was like, but I hate what happened at my bar with that Brit stuff. And also nobody visited me. You didn't visit me. Danny never visited me. Brittany said she'd bring crews in there, even though I was uncovering the cameras. And he goes, how much humble pie can one guy take? I mean, I'm getting pissed. And I was like, oh my God, no way. In the car ride?
Yeah, he's been in the car for 2 minutes.
You already got grudges? You're already mad? It was like that. It was I mean, I take nothing for granted now about what I know for Jax, but I was surprised that even, Tony Soprano, who I compare Jax to a lot, Tony had after he had his near-death experience, he had a window of time where he was much better, about 6 months, and then it started to slowly, life started to curdle, and he started to be a horrible person again. Jax was basically fresh out of rehab, and he still had all those old grudges and that victim mentality just baked in there.
Yeah, Jesse was like, you're going to have to do an apology tour, you're going to have to, and he's like, you hurt a lot of people, and he's like, nobody's hurting, they're partying, nobody visited me.
He goes, how much humble pie am I gonna eat here? So
then they go back to his house, because I mean, I feel like he's had rampant access to this house the whole time. He's like barely been gone, and he's like, I'm gonna take a lot more than what she's given me so far. And he's like looking around, he's like, I won't take everything, I'll leave the couch. I'm going to give her this freaking $20,000 love sack couch. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice of you to leave your son with a place to sit.
Yeah, really wonderful. And good. And I'm so glad we found out how expensive that was and what brand it was. Right. But yeah, I think that, he didn't really win me over with that gracious act. I was just like, I don't care. Of course you're going to leave a couch. And he also comes back and, his stuff is just in big trash bags piled up in the garage. And he says in trash bags for trash like me or something, but he doesn't get too mad about the trash bags. Yeah,
I thought he would get more enraged. He also, this is like my favorite, where I'm like, literally his brain really is broken, where he's like, Brittany needs to know that the house needs to go on the market right now. And he's like, no woman needs a house that's 5 bedrooms, 7 bath. Come on, you're a woman. Get something smaller, more manageable for a woman.
Yeah.
It's like, with every time he said woman, I was like, zing,
yeah.
Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what are you talking
Even
about?
Jesse was like, what the hell are you saying right now? As a woman, she can't deal with 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. He said, you need something smaller as a woman, a 3-bedroom house, because famously women need smaller houses, I guess. And Jesse was giving him nothing during that conversation. He just kept Jax just kept talking. And
I feel like every time he's talking to someone, like he's in the after show with Schwartz, or like where everyone's just like has their head down and is like, I can't agree with any of this. Like, I'm just going to get through this conversation.
Yeah. He also then, what sets up the, a huge scene of this episode is Jesse goes, guess what? Benji's coming back. Jax goes, oh, I can't wait to see Benji. And Jesse goes, well, you're not going to like this. We're having a party at my house to celebrate Benji because Zach's house is a piece of shit. So they're all going to come here. And Jax goes, well, I'm obviously invited, right? And Jesse goes, I don't know. I mean, it's Benji's party. Brittany's going. I don't really think you should. And he goes, it's your house. And so I'm invited. And then I've never seen Jax invite himself kind of that pathetically before. Yeah. It was basically like, I'm going no matter what. You can't stop me. And Jesse just, again, doesn't say anything back. He's like, okay, well, if you are going to make that decision, you get to go to this party, I guess. Yeah. Even though there's no reason why you would ever want to go or ever would realistically be invited to this party.
He's like, I've been locked up for 30 days. I want to go to a party. I was like, that sounds like a great idea. I feel like it's that thing where if you're on the cast, you can never truly be not invited. Yeah. Like when Ramona goes to Mexico on Bethany's trip and she's just like, I'm going. Well, I'm going.
Yeah. I think I would probably just go to all cast events too, if all cast is invited, no matter what conflict is going on. It's like, you don't want to ever miss one of the biggest moments. What if you had missed that Aviva throwing her her fake leg? You just decided not to go to that all cast event. You'd be out of Bravo history forever. So who knows what's going to happen? But kind of Jax seemed a little extra pathetic in that scene to me when he was kind of inviting himself to the party. You know,
I mean, he does miss. We find out he's not going to Hawaii, which he's making it seem like he opted out, but I wonder if there was more discussion with like Brittany or if he just was like,
is he allowed to go to Hawaii again?
right? Yeah, he might be banished.
Yeah. So just so we know, Jax did this 30 days, but he continued to drink sporadically. He also continued to do cocaine. We know that. And then he knew that he had not gotten to the root of his issue. So he went back for 17 days. And that's when he did the half stay. Is that right?
I really get confused because of all of the podcasts and everything, because I thought that the 17-day stay was first.
I thought it was too, but I'm almost turning around now to where the first one was 30, and then he went back in for a tune-up 17 days.
Okay.
Pretty
Because I
sure.
thought that he went before he acknowledged drugs. Like the first time was just like truly mental health. And then he acknowledged the drugs.
Maybe 30, 17, 17?
Maybe. Did he go 3 times? Yeah. Comment below if you know the timeline. I have problems keeping track of. There was the Brittany Hot Mic podcast.
Yes.
Then there was the Jax Hot Mic.
Yeah.
And because I remember he got diagnosed somewhere and had those pills that he didn't take. So, and then in this rehab, he did get formally diagnosed with bipolar.
Right.
And they're like, we already knew that from last time. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we'll get clarity someday, but it's very confusing.
Yes.
So then we also we find out in a quick scene that Michelle, she's talking to Aaron, right?
Yes.
And she goes, I think she's talking to Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah. She goes. Aaron goes, someday I hope, this is going to be better, but, obviously this shit sucks. And then Michelle says, yeah, it's so horrible. My mom, who she's talked about before, who is dying of cancer, I think she's since passed, very sadly. But she said that Jesse has been restricting Isabella from going to her mom and spending the entire week that he's like saying, no, she can't do that. To me, I immediately heard that and I said, I would like to know more because it sounds almost like Darth Vader level evil, like Emperor Palpatine. He would keep his kids from seeing a dying woman. It's like almost outlandishly evil. And so I was happy, not happy. I was felt good about the seeing what his side of things were later, and it made a little bit more sense to me. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, when she said that, I was like, there has to be more to that conversation, which I believe that there's something in the middle. Like, he also made it seem like he's like, of course I would let her. And I'm like, you probably were shitty about it, but there was probably a discussion. And then Sheena was saying on her podcast or wherever the fuck she was talking there's a story where I think her mom died like the week of the election. So like November or something. Whoa. And she was like, it was Michelle's week, and she was like, I know it's my week, but my mom like literally just died, and I could use a moment to like not have to deal with Isabella. Like, could you take her for me? And he was like, I'm on my way down to a election party in Orange County. No can do.
Wow, so the opposite of before. Now he's saying, I don't want Isabella.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also like, election party in Orange County. I don't like the sound of that.
Hey, we don't know what the hell happened there. So I thought, Anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to Jesse's side of things. Okay, we get a little brief scene. I didn't love this scene for the power that it could have had. The boys go to Smokehouse.
Yeah. And
Jax brings, I would say, like staunch loyalists, his business partners, three like business boys to sort of back him up, and then he's going to dinner with the boys of the valley, Jason, Danny, Jesse, and then immediately there is almost no talk about Jax's like the treatment. There's a little bit, but immediately he starts to deflect within maybe 2 minutes and blames Danny for being a part of the Brits bar takeover. And he's one of his business partners goes, "Oh my God, how despicable of you 4 boys to make the bar Brits when he's in rehab fighting for his life in there." And Danny goes, "What the hell are you talking about? I didn't do it." And then Jason's like, "Well, he's got a drinking problem anyway." And it's like, goddamn. And then Jax, they point the camera to Jax, and Jax is like a pig in shit in the corner, just rubbing his hands together, going, "I love that I just deflected the shit out of this thing."
He's like, "Heard you had a few too many in the pantry."
I heard a story about empty tequila bottles, Darkside Danny. Did Darkside Danny appear, I heard, in Santa Barbara? It's like, what the hell are you doing? The fact that he didn't have to talk about anything at this smokehouse dinner was very surprising, and I am so like on Danny's side during this time where they're trying to make a fucking mountain out of this shit. Like, I know he did that one horrible blackout moment, but it's time to move forward as a cast on this thing. And Danny is like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if I were him, I would be like, I must leave this show. Like, they're like a dog with a bone. They will not leave me alone until I reveal that I'm an alcoholic. And like, even though they literally, Jax in this conversation, while they're saying Danny has a drinking problem, Jax is saying that he's still going to drink, but he's not going to get shit-faced. He's like, "I'm not going to drink today, but like, I won't guarantee that I'm not going to drink in the future," which like already by the next episode, there's like accusations of him getting drunk at the bar or whatever. And I'm like, he's the one that actively is like, his life is in the absolute toilet. Like, can we just focus on him?
That's why it was so ridiculous for him to point fingers. And he goes, "I know I don't have a leg to stand on, Danny, when I start calling you Darkside Danny." And Danny goes, "You don't." He goes, "Stop saying this kind of stuff. Why
Jax
are you
is like,
the one-"
"You do have a problem. Let's just say it."
We've had to kick you out a couple times from Jax's Studio City. And then, I mean, that was basically it. And I'm a little... I'm a little upset that Jason, I mean, I love Jason to death, but I know that Danny called Janet a snake, but doesn't Danny, just as much as Janet is throwing barbs at Danny and Nia, doesn't Danny have the right to say a very low-level insult like snake? On this kind of, on a Bravo show, we're not dealing with psychopaths here with this Danny versus Janet stuff.
No, they've completely cucked him, where if he says anything negative, they're like, "Okay, Danny Drunko."
Okay, you big drunk. How much more alcohol are you gonna drink there, Danny Drunko? But I will say though, there was a little bit, I don't want to step on it, but I did think that Scott, the life coach, got to the root of some deep things, which we'll get into when we talk about this week's episode. I love Scott. I think he's so fun. Okay, anything else about Smokehouse? This scene, if these were better cast members, more adept cast members, like if this was Tom Sandoval, Tom Schwartz, who's another, James Kennedy, and they went to Smokehouse, you think Jax is getting away with that fucking shit at Smokehouse? They would grill him to death about absolutely everything. That's why I didn't appreciate this scene. I was like, what are you doing letting Jax walk all over you? He's the one who has to account for a bunch of shit, and he's changing the narrative on you in real time right now.
Yeah, it reminded me, didn't they go to Smokehouse in the very first episode? And we were like, here we go, the Valley, baby.
They go all the time too, and they went. This is completely different, but I was watching the studio, and they go to the Smokehouse to celebrate. So huge era for Smokehouse.
I just watched a whole thing about how on the studio there's an episode where they go to Chateau Marmont, and apparently the guy who runs it is like shitty and was trying to like extort them for, like, there was the fee to shoot there, which is already like exorbitant, and then he added on like a proper like a trademark fee to like feature the business itself, which was like $150,000 or something like that, and they like couldn't afford it, and so Seth Rogen just paid for it himself because he wanted to film there so bad.
Worth every penny for that horrible scene that I don't even remember. What was it? Him trying to get in the rap party for the noir oh my god, that noir episode. Zac Efron secretly did a rap party that he paid for, and Matt, Seth Rogen's character, finds out. Wow, it was worth it, Seth. That was a good use of your money.
I love your studio tangent, even though he is a fan of the Valley.
I know.
Did you see that?
I know. Every time he says, "I," this is my advice to any celebrity: if you're A or B tier, just talk about Bravo all the time, and you will get years of news coverage out of it. It works for John Hamm. It works for John Oliver. It's working for you, Seth Rogen. Just talk about Bravo. You'll be on watch.
Haim is on Watch What Happens Tonight.
If you say stuff,
Haim.
if you say stuff about Bravo, you're in the Bravo good graces.
Those Haim heads. Do you think that the Haims have showed Paul Thomas Anderson Bravo?
Absolutely. I'm betting Paul Thomas Anderson is a huge Valley head as well. He loves the Valley.
I mean, he's like the king of the Valley.
What was Licorice Pizza about if it wasn't about the Valley, if I remember
I don't know what the
correctly.
fuck that movie was about.
It was about
Pinball?
young love,
mattresses.
Vinyl. Does Licorice Pizza mean that was a vinyl?
Okay, the last thing I'll say, my stray thought, is that I'm obsessed with how much Jax loves to say my bar.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, how dare you come into my bar? He's like, Zach, you can't come into my bar. And I'm like, you like don't even own it. Like, it's like literally not even yours.
Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. It's like you're using it way too much as to lord it over people. But then I was like, if I had a bar and I had my name on it, the temptation to kind of use that against people is pretty. I mean, could you imagine if you and I had a bar? Like, we would definitely be saying my bar. Like,
yeah, our enemies wouldn't be on the list. It would be,
yeah. Amy and Riley's, it's got a nice ring to it. Amy and Riley's
Shorts and Sandy's.
Yeah, Amy. Okay, so then okay, this is rough. This is rough for Jack's heads. I know there's a few out there. Brittany says that when Jax got out, he has yet to get in touch with her about seeing Cruz. A lot of dads would probably make number one with a bullet going to see their child after 30 days. I don't even know if he saw Cruz. They went to the park. He saw Cruz then?
Yeah. I think she referenced that she did allow him to see him while he was there. So he saw him at some point, and then he claimed, I don't know when this information comes up, so I'm just like jumping ahead, but he claimed that he couldn't reach out to her because she has him blocked. But then he's like, I'm going to get around to sending her an email. And I'm like, why don't you send an email on your way out of the rehab and say, like, let's arrange something?
Yeah, they're easy. They're just like a text if you have email on your phone. Is that why? That's why he went to the Frank Dremon, just to step on it, because he was able to get out of the block zone on Brittany. That's why he was able.
I guess.
But so they give him the worst edit as a dad. I mean, one of the worst dad edits you can have. They go, Botox. Check. Haircut. Check. Dinner at Smokehouse with 7 of your friends. Check. Yeah. And he didn't. And then Brittany says she unblocked him on Wednesday. So we're really, you have to take Brittany at her word that she unblocked him. He could have had access to text her, but he waited maybe 48 hours without actually trying to reach Cruz. But by the end of this episode, he starts to say, I need to see Cruz now, and I won't do anything you ask me to do until I see him. Yeah. But still, you got to wonder what was going on for those first 24 to 48 hours where he wasn't making Cruz a priority.
I'm also like, damn, like, he needed it, like, on the 30th day to get Botox. I'm like, he's on a strict schedule.
Yeah, he was talking about his haircut in his video diaries. Towards the end of the thing, he goes, my hair's getting really long. It was sort of like, I don't know, he was saying it to Jason. He goes, I need a haircut so bad. Jason, will you go with me? So he really wanted to look good when he got out.
I guess so. Okay, so then there's the party it's at Jesse's for Zach and Benji. And we get a little bit of a Janet versus Nia. They feud for the next full episode. Jax shows up uninvited, but, entitled to be invited. And then there's a scene where I think it's Nia and Danny talk to Jesse about the grandma of it all. And she gets emotional asking him, like, don't you think, like, your daughter should spend time with her grandma if she might not be here much longer? And he kind of gets emotional too, and he's like, I had no idea how sick she was. So that felt like a clue of like that there was like miscommunication. And then he brings up that he's like, we need to have a conversation with Isabella about mortality, which I'm like, that's fine. But like, it just sounds like they can't agree on literally anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, no, totally. I completely, I was sympathetic to what Jesse said. I'll just admit it. I don't care. I think it's true. I think that if he doesn't know, they don't know how to talk to Isabella about their grandmother dying, and they want to talk about mortality and life and death. That is a mutual parent decision. And when he said that she's going through so much right now with her parents fighting all the time, a new home, and then now to lose her grandma, he just wants to be on the same page. On those issues, and then also just that he was emotional as he was talking about it. I could relate to, feeling that way. And so it immediately brought me out of the sick, awful, evil version of things. And then when you hear just one excuse where he's kind of choking up talking about it, I'm like, okay, I understand. And I'm sure that he was not a pleasant person to negotiate this conversation, to introduce this topic to Michelle. I'm sure it was acrimonious and horrible, but at least there is some justification that I believe on his end that prevented Isabella from spending that time. And I assume that she did get to spend some time with her grandma, right, before she passed. It seems like. I
kind of land on the side of like, I don't know, because now the tides. I don't know if the tides are turning online, maybe like just Queens of Bravo and some other places. But
whose tides are turning?
About Michelle, like saying that if they would have included this information sooner, that maybe people would have been more sympathetic towards her knowing that this was happening underneath, which like, that's fine. I mean, that's horrible. But I don't like her very much. And so I think that they're both demonic to each other. Mm-hmm. So whenever they talk shit about each other, I'm kind of like, yeah, you guys both suck and you hate each other. So I can't really trust anything you say in either direction. And so it just sounds miserable, like that you guys have to continue to deal with each other. And so it just sounds horrible. Like, yeah, I can barely side with anyone on anything because I'm like, I think you guys just like cannot agree on a single thing. Yeah,
I know. I totally agree with that too. I always like when there's a little more nuance to these kind of things that we hear about, and then once you hear the rationale of someone else, it just like makes everything is just so much more complicated than it appears at first. So I did enjoy that part, and it's a very real thing. I'm sure that divorced parents have to talk about how to navigate. I mean, it just everything is harder in their position as squabbling parents, it's a nightmare for them. And Michelle is so unhappy. She wants to get married to Aaron ASAP. I don't know if we already should have talked about that scene, but she said, Aaron, when the hell are you proposing? Because me and Isabella want to get in here ASAP.
I know. I'm like, you're literally not even divorced. But in that Sheena video, she was saying that she was trying to make the case for that Jesse's just as bad as Jax. And Kristen commented on it, was like, you're insane for saying that.
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, I kind of stand by my thoughts that I've already said before, where it seems pretty clear who's worse just by the circumstances in which we've witnessed them. Yes. And I would say right now, despite hearing a bunch of bad stuff about Jesse, I would say Jax clearly has done more abhorrent things in his life so far currently. So I don't even know why there's a debate there. And I kind of believe Kristen too. Kristen loves Jax and has known him for 20 years 20 years. And she's declaring him worse than Jesse. And she knows Jesse too, a lot more than the audience does. Yeah. So take Kristen's word for it. I loved, okay, so we'll skip over the Janet, Nia, Danny stuff because it's so awful. Yeah. It's just so horrible to have them talk about this anymore. It is so boring. But I am really getting fed up with Janet. I came into this season saying it's clean slate for Janet, and I think she's a wonderful person. I love her husband Jason. They are one of the most iconic Bravo couples I've ever seen in my life. I love them, but Janet has, unfortunately, a very condescending, patronizing persona that she puts on. I don't know if it's born out of insecurity, possibly, if she feels insecure, but there's something extremely patronizing when she talks to Nia, and Nia is voicing valid. It's kind of like Raquel and Lala, to put it to Vanderpump Rules, where it's just like, you're making me very sympathetic to Nia, who I'm like fine with. I like Nia fine, but I'm like, oh, I'm team fucking Nia, because just the way Janet treats her makes me be like, that is a horrible way to treat anybody. I hate that she walks out of conversations and starts laughing in people's faces when they try to like push back on her, and it's like, I don't think Janet is truly like this. I don't give her the full villain. I don't know if she wants to be the villain. We've talked about this before, but this insecurity or whatever it is, she should just be so happy that she's on the Valley and she's an active cast member, and you don't need to mask or guard yourself with this condescending persona, because it's wearing thin. And by the time they go to El Coyote in this week's episode, I was just like, no more. Like, people are walking out. Sheena is saying, Janet, stop. Jasmine goes, I can't fucking stand Janet anymore. Like, you made a whole table at El Coyote want to leave you in the dust there.
Brittany was like, Janet, enough.
It's like, damn, Janet, like, what kind of person do you want to be? She's so entrenched in Housewives and Bravo, and she knows everything. She's probably studied with a book about how to, like, have these conversations, and she's really seeming to be an insufferable person, which I don't think is her. And so that kind of is my overall thoughts over almost everything regarding Janet. And it's not, I don't know. I hope it's not. I hope it's something that she can get in check.
She's flopping.
Yeah. And I loved the Dave and Buster's thing. I thought that was so fun. I mean, I probably overrated that, but I thought that she started out with a new light, and she was like, learned from her mistakes, and it's not the case. I mean, I don't know who will still be allies with her. They were almost like, why the hell did those two get invited on our Hawaii trip? You know? And then Jason's one of the best people in the world, and he's kind of having to suffer through these Janet relationships, you know, where Janet is ruining his relationship with, you know, his relationship with other cast members. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. But then Jax goes he goes, I need a cup. Because I can't drink, or I don't want to drink, but I need a big glass of water. And then I have to say, I was kind of like I was watching like a movie where a cameo comes in, like someone walks in the room, and I'm like, oh my God, they got a fucking awesome cameo. And I was like, Jack standing, drinking water out of the sink in a red Solo cup, and then that guy, Scott, the life coach, being right there. I was like, oh my fucking God, you guys are the perfect duo in the world. Scott is someone who could give Jax advice to make him better and hopefully heal him. I don't think that that rehab shit wasn't working for him. No offense to the mental health treatment facility. That didn't work. That guy, Scott, I think that kind of energy could really help. That's the way. I really need that duo. There was a spark in that kitchen. I think that Scott, kind of like a Reiki healer, the new Reiki healer, like, what was her name? Kelsey? Yeah. He has that Reiki healer energy that Jax really responds to. I think that Jax, if he hasn't already called up Scott to be his life coach, he needs to immediately. There was something there in the kitchen, I have to say.
There's more to come on that in the next episode.
Yes.
But he does get, like, he starts to chat with him a little bit, and then Zach comes in and takes over and is like, I'm going to make you my bitch at this party. Like, I don't want you here. What are you doing? What was all that shit about where you were leaving the rehab and changing the cameras and doing all this? And he honestly, like, has Jax on his toes. Like, he's like, because Jax can't blow up. He knows that he's like not allowed to make a scene. So he's like, fuck.
Yeah. Probably, you know, the most iconic fight so far that I've seen on the Valley, just the way Zach hands Jax his ass every 5 seconds. I've never seen Jax so taken aback and not able to fight. I mean, he's been on Vanderpump Rules. He was on it for 8 seasons, and there was never a fight that I saw him have where he got his ass handed to him like he did by Zach in that scene. Zach really didn't let him go or get out of anything during that conversation. It was amazing. I mean, Zach was already, I mean, I think he's top 3 of my favorite cast members on the Valley, and that seriously launched him into the stratosphere. I just love that he took it upon himself to confront Jax in the kitchen and say what the entire audience wanted to say to Jax at that moment. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then Jax starts to leave because he's like, I don't need to take this. Like, this is too much. And he's like, all right, fucking get out of here. Like, there's the front door. And Jax goes, it's my show. My show, not your show, my show.
Yeah. My bar, my show. My show, and then we know, it reminded me, I go, I cannot believe he said this. I cannot believe that he still refers to shows as his shows after he was almost fired for how he treated Lisa about his show in season 8 of Vanderpump Rules. I cannot believe he still says stuff like that. Like the ego of him. And then Zach says a cutting remark. He goes, well, it wasn't your show for 30 fucking days while you were in that mental health facility, which was amazing. And then Jax does leave because Zach stopped him from having his conversation with Brittany. He said, Brittany doesn't want to talk to you, Jax. Then Jax is defeated. He leaves, and then Zach goes, everybody can party now. Jax just left, and everybody kind of starts squealing with joy.
Yeah, because Brittany is like running around the party the whole time trying to avoid him, and it's super awkward. Like, it's very, I don't know. He was obviously just asserting dominance because he's like, I will go to any party I want to, but like no one wanted him there. Yeah.
Also, we got to say Kristen was really sweet to Jax. I don't know if she still feels this way about Jax after God knows what he's done in the interim since the season was filmed. But she is disappointed, obviously, and she's such good friends with Brittany. She loves Brittany probably more than Jax at this point. But she says, Jax, I love you. I hope you know that I care about you and love you, and you just need help right now. And you shouldn't care about this Brits takeover shit and all this stuff. I just want you to get help. It was a really sweet, sentimental moment, and I loved it just as a Vanderpump Rules fan, just because we know the history between them, that even though Jax is in the fucking doghouse of all doghouses, that Kristen still has empathy for him. You know, true empath, as she says.
Yes. Okay, then we get the guys helping Jax move. So they're just like going through his shit. I noticed Schwartz was wearing a soft bar hat supporting Carl Radke.
So cool.
Gotta love it.
Schwartz is the most supportive friend in the Bravo universe. We have to give him that crown, right? He will talk about people's mayonnaise, their soft bar. He'll go to Jax's Studio City on a whim whenever Jax needs him. He's on tour with Tom Sandoval, who we barely can even stand right now. Going to his AG, that America's Got Talent thing. Like, he just will do anything for anyone at all times.
I know. When we see at the end of this episode how close Jax actually does live to him at this point, I was like, Schwartz, like, oh my God. Like, I don't want to live that close to anybody, let alone a friend that has caused me so much grief. Like, I'd be like, no, you can't live there. Like,
I lived under my best
fuck not.
Yeah, I lived under my best friends, and it was a fucking nightmare.
It's horrible. You need the boundaries.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Schwartz. You know, it's on him, but I bet that Jax didn't listen to him for a second. He's like, you can't control me if I want to live right next to you, you know? And Schwartz is just like, fine.
He like just got through Sandoval, and then he has Jax knocking on his door to be like, I'm back. I'd be like, no, I need peace. Please, no.
No, seriously. Schwartz has just such a high tolerance for people and
no boundaries.
I did like, there was a little bit of moving stuff, right? Where he's like kind of throwing a bunch of shit in the trash. He throws, at one point, Brittany comes home and she goes, you threw a photo of my dad in the trash, you crazy asshole. Like, she's just so stunned.
It's a photo of her, like, dad, the grandpa, holding Cruz, and it's in the trash can. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just horrible. The things that Jax does. It's just like, you could never even write something like that. The Couchy Homestead thing is like in a pile of shit on the side of the house.
They should auction that.
Yeah, and then she immediately has to take her photo of her dad out of the trash and bring it back inside. And then Jax deceitfully flipped everything in the house so that all the photos are back looking at her and glaring at her of their like wonderful marriage moments when she gets back in there.
Yeah. So then this is where we get my favorite thing of the episode, where Brittany reveals to Janet that she has discovered Jax's burner account on Instagram. The name is Frank Dremon, which they reveal on the after show is it's like the guy from Naked Gun, but it's spelled wrong.
Oh my God. I was wondering, I knew that name, but I couldn't place it. That makes, Frank Dremon, because there's a new Naked Gun coming out too, so I've heard that name multiple times.
Frank Drebin.
Well, so he wanted it to be a play on Frank Drebin, he said?
Spelled it wrong.
Wow. Yeah, and then we find out that he's been on any news outlet that we've ever seen throughout history where it talks about Jax, he'll comment as Frank Dremon, and he'll say, "This guy Jax is amazing. He's such a legend. I love this guy. What will he get up to next? ... This
He's a real queen in the comments. There's one that says, 30 days equals 4 weeks. Maybe you need rehab, doll. And then there's one it's called clickbait, honey.
It's called clickbait, honey. It's so funny that people were like commenting with Jax anonymously on these different posts that he was doing. He also says, "Don't like the new girl on the Valley. She seems pretty thirsty." It's like, oh my God, you're like criticizing cast members on your own show as a anonymous account. You know what? I have to say, this is going to be maybe a little bit mean, but Janet was kind of a little withdrawn during this conversation. If it was someone else, I feel like they would have been like if it was you and me, we'd be squealing from the rooftops, running up and down, going all over the place. I unfortunately thought Janet couldn't go in because I think Janet might have
Francine Dremon.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to Janet, but the way that she's kind of withdrawn during that entire discussion, I thought, okay, you got about 6 or 7 burner accounts, you're pretty adept at also commenting some pro Janet shit on there. And, you know, that's a huge accusation, but I was just expecting a lot bigger reaction. If anyone else was in that scene, they would have loved to be there.
Yeah, she revealed on the after show that she does have a burner account, but she said,
I'm sorry.
She says, you never comment. Like, she goes, you never touch, you just look, but I don't believe it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I did not watch the after show, so I was just...
But even that, like, Sheena and who else is it Michelle that they're with? They're kind of looking at her like they're embarrassed that she's even saying that. But Brittany reveals that also she has a DM that's the context and the content of the message is obviously from Jax, but he sent it from Frank Dremon.
Wow. Yeah, that is so fun. And then what? Well, anything else to say about that? I mean, it's a huge reveal, obviously, you know, that he's been doing that, but I imagine he has multiple accounts and he just does that all the time. And what other Bravo celebrities now probably have, you know, anonymous accounts that they're just commenting pro their own stuff so that Bravo execs think that they're one of the most vibrant cast members in the universe, you know?
Yeah. Jax was, they end up talking about, I think, like, reading comments and stuff like that. And Jax is like, I mean, I sell Blocked by Jax merch on my website. Like, it's, like, my favorite thing. So he was trying to get the sales in on that. But he should make Frank Dremon merch.
I have a Blocked by Jax sweater.
You do?
Yeah, I got it as a gift. I should start wear. Maybe better to wear it now. Okay, then towards the end of this episode. No, sorry. Luke goes to Kyle Chan's place of business, right? And this is when
he reveals here that he goes in the next episode, but he tells when they're plotting the Hawaii trip and trying to say that Nia and Danny are going to be the ones. Which this whole thing is stupid because I'm like, you're going as a cast. Like, it doesn't matter who planned it. But he's like, it's perfect because I'll go pick up the ring with Kyle Chan because he normally watches my gecko. And they reveal that Kyle Chan has all these critters in his jewelry store. Like, he has like scorpions and beetles and shit. And he watches Luke's gecko while he's traveling.
Yeah, so he said he has a gecko too, right? So he has
all kinds of lizards.
Geckos, beetles, but not, they say never snakes, right?
Yeah.
And
never.
Yeah, that was a huge, another huge reveal because you and I only know Kyle Chan just at a surface level as a seller of jewelry, and to know that he has a bunch of different terrariums filled with bugs and
I feel
insects.
like Danny and Nia are like not snakes; they are indicative of the devil.
I know. I thought so too. That's why Danny goes, no, there was no snakes in Kyle Chan's lair because Janet wasn't there. And then Nia goes, you're bad, Daniel.
Oh my gosh. Did you see that video of Candace Cameron Bure talking about...
who's that?
She's DJ from Full House.
Oh, Candace,
Cameron.
yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the oldest sister.
Yes. She's like super Christian.
Yeah.
And she said that she wouldn't even want people watching a horror movie in her house because the TV becomes a portal to evil.
I know. Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel that.
I feel that too. When I first watched The Exorcist when I was 15, I said, this is definitely a portal to hell. I'm really scared right now. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
she also said that she won't drink liquid death because it's a curse.
oh
Like
my,
you're drinking death?
oh my God. When did she say all these anecdotes?
I think she has a podcast.
Candace DJ, what'd you say her name was? Candace Cameron.
Candace Cameron Bure.
Candace Cameron Bure. Candace Cameron. Okay.
She's always popping up in the news.
Oh my God! Wow, I haven't thought about her in a long time. Okay, Kyle Chan has beetles and tarantulas and geckos, and then Jax does not at his new apartment.
Yes.
We go to Jax's apartment.
It does look nice. I wonder how much it costs. It's like it's probably like where he should have been living instead of their $2 million house.
What do you think? I'm guessing like, I mean, I'm so bad at guessing, but 6,000? You think more?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know the exact location. Maybe it kind of looks like it might be like a shitty block, but it's a nice apartment. It has like that big outdoor area.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and it's 2 stories, balcony. It's a condo. I mean, it looked amazing. Tom gives Jax a white orchid for new beginnings. He's still in his plant era, and then Jax is sort of getting nostalgic and wistful for the old days when he used to sleep on a air bed covered by a bed sheet, living with Tom, and he goes, I'm kind of excited, to be honest, to get back into those old days with those boys. It was kind of like a frat house. He said it was kind of like Animal House living with Tom and Tom. I kind of wished Tom Sandoval it was here. I mean, we obviously dislike Tom Sandoval, but I just thought, it would have been, I guess maybe they just don't want him on the Valley. They don't want to sully the Valley yet with Tom Sandoval, but it felt like such a scene to where it's like to show Jax's descent back with them, so that it felt like Sandoval was just missing from the scene in a way.
Maybe he was on Traders at the time. I don't know the timeline.
Oh, no, yeah, he was on, I think he was on Traders. And then knock, knock, knock. Oh, guess who's here? Divorce man. Process server. He goes, Mr. Couchy? And Jason goes, yes. And he goes, you've been served. And he goes, oh, for my podcast? Oh, of course. This is for my podcast, right? And the guy looks at him and he's kind of like, huh? And Jax goes, okay, thank you so much. You can leave now. And then that's when it felt like Jax is normally at least moderately rehearsed when he's getting ready for a scene. Because I've never seen him off guard like this. He was kind of flailing and flopping, and that podcast comment was really weird. It was like he was legitimately surprised to be served divorce papers, and he didn't know in the moment how to handle it and relay that to the audience for how he was feeling. The entire scene, I felt like Jax didn't know how to navigate it properly.
Yeah. I mean, Brittany kind of like had sniper precision on how she did that. She was like, he's filming with Schwartz at his apartment at this time. We'll have the process server go at that time. And then like at the exact same time, TMZ embargo lifted, they can drop the news.
That's awesome. Oh my God. What if he had handed it, what if, remember in Marriage Story when that the sister has to give it because Scarlett Johansson can't give it? What if Tom Schwartz had to be the person to do it? Like the process server gave it to Schwartz, and then Schwartz had to navigate that. Schwartz is amazing in this scene. He is so calm and so like reasonable and rational that he still acknowledges how awful Jax is, but he knows enough about divorce now that he's has a shocking demeanor when he's talking about all this stuff. He reads the divorce papers and he's like, whoa, amicable intent outside of court, expeditiously, minimal cost. You got basically a love letter out of these divorce papers, and Jax is just deferring completely to Schwartz during this scene.
He doesn't know English. He's like, I like that amicable part. Like that sounds good to me. Like he's ready to sign it. he's like, do I just sign it and like send it back? And
He goes,
he's
is that
sort of
process server still in my driveway? Because I could just give this back to him now. What does he need? My signature on this?
Yeah, he's like, I'll sign this right now. And Schwartz is like, well, the custody part's a little brutal, but you'll work it out. And he's like, what did the custody part say?
And he goes,
I was like, wouldn't that be your first question?
Schwartz goes, hey, buddy, maybe you should look at that one. I don't know if I read it correctly. Here, take a little peek at that. And Jax goes, I don't know what full legal custody means. And it's like, I hope that confessional was just to show what his mindset was at the time. I hope that he still hadn't gone 2 weeks before the confessional and not Googled what the fuck full legal custody is. It's pretty apparent what that means.
It's honestly amazing. Like, I was like, he would try and not get a lawyer. He's like, what am I going to pay a lawyer for? Even though he's so out of his depth that he can't even read that one document. And Brittany says on the after show that he tried to not get a lawyer and fill out all the forms himself. He put that they were never legally married, which obviously isn't true. The separation date he made for the day he was filling it out, which isn't true. It was like a year before. And so he was like, got in trouble for that because he was like fucking it all up. So he was forced basically to get a lawyer to rewrite all of that stuff and have representation, which I'm like, that feeds in perfectly to his disorder and his diagnoses, that he thinks that he can handle this himself and like be in charge of it, when it's like he's like the dumbest person on the show.
Yeah, he blew it. He was 0 for 2 on those questions. He got both of them completely wrong. The date of separation, and he said that they were never legally married, which was false. So major errors on that. I remember when we reported on that originally, because I think TMZ and everyone went wild. Tom Schwartz goes, guess this is, going to be for the best. You both, are good people, but you're not good for each other anymore. And then Jax acknowledges, he goes, I was a terrible husband. I mean, I was just a awful, terrible piece of shit husband. I'm a good dad, but I'm a terrible husband. And Schwartz goes, yeah. And then the end, I thought was iconic as hell. I go, oh my God, we're watching an iconic episode right now of The Valley. He goes, it's safe to say that these are no longer the best days of our lives. And Alex Baskin probably started crying, or Jeremiah probably started crying when Jax spit that out in his confessional. It's like the most poignant way to end this episode. Me too. Oh my God. Beautiful. Okay.
He was like scribbling that on the walls with like his burnt toast in rehab.
he totally like was
Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh my God, he absolutely was. Yeah, he I wonder if he originated that in the moment, and Alex Baskin goes, perfection. Or if Jeremiah or Alex Baskin said, Jax, it would fucking hit like a ton of bricks if you said this. Why don't you say it's safe to say that these are no longer the best days of our lives? And Jax goes, oh my God, I would love to
He's like,
say that.
That's good. That's good.
That's fucking good. I think he invented it. Let's just say it. He originated it. Okay. Do you feel comfortable just going full bore towards this next episode, which everyone has probably just watched? This is the most recent episode. It's called, I didn't understand this title. It was called El Coyote Ugly because of the dinner that was not that bad. I mean, I don't know. It just seemed, I didn't know they would do the restaurant name in the title. And also I didn't think that justified this. Like, what about like, I don't know, something about Hawaii.
They're saving that for next week, I'm sure.
That makes sense.
They're like, that El Coyote dinner went ugly.
Yeah. I was happy to see El Coyote, though.
Always. It looked so good. And I was like, Janet has to, not to step on it, but she basically apologizes because of the margaritas being so strong that she acted out of turn. She
goes, they were too good and too strong. Have I ever asked? I probably have maybe only 4 times. What's your ranking? Casa Vega, El Coyote, El Compadre, Salsa and Beer. Have you been there? Salsa and Beer?
I think so.
Oh my God. Salsa and Beer is a sleeper hit. I went one time. I'll do mine first while you think.
The margarita or just in general?
No, just those restaurants. If someone said, I want to have the time of my life, which of those 4 do you prefer? I'm going to say my new favorite is Casa Vega because of the legacy of it. I love, the Quentin Tarantino booth, the Kardashian booth. I go there all the time now, so that's my number 1. El Compadre, I have to say, is my number 2. It's the first one of those types of restaurants I ever went to when I went to Los Angeles. There was one in Echo Park, and then El Coyote I'm given third just because I don't have the, I loved it, but I actually went during COVID and the food was awful, and I haven't been back since.
I remember it historically being really bad when I would go like 10 years ago. And then I went like a year ago. I've been like twice in the past year-ish, and it's good.
Okay. Yeah, someone told me who's a big El Coyote head, they said that El Coyote has gotten much better, that something happened. I think a chef was making shitty meals on purpose for a year when I went, and then they got better. So I need to try it, and it's better incarnation.
Yeah.
But what do you rank?
But then there's also like Casita del Campo.
I've never been there.
There's my favorite, if you go all the way to the South Bay Torrance, is La Capilla is my favorite.
Wow. So does that beat the shit out of all those other ones that I just said?
I mean, that's my nearest and dearest. But the thing is, the food at most of them is like pretty much the same. Like,
yeah. Yeah, but can I say one secret hack? Okay, Casa Vega, El Compadre, very comparable food. Probably El Coyote too. Salsa and Beer, this one that I only talk about, that I only went to once, had the best food and margarita as good as Casa Vega's, and it was decorated so cool with a bunch of cactuses all over the walls, and it was the best food I've had of any of those types of theme restaurants. There's one in North Hollywood. There's more than you'd ever imagine, and I don't think it gets ranked in terms of those types of restaurants, but it's maybe my favorite one, and I only went once, but I was blown away.
Maybe I have been to the one in the Valley.
It has the coolest name in the world, Salsa and Beer.
Yeah. I think sometimes my brain gets it confused with something that's totally different, which is just Senor Fish. Like, that's a totally different thing, but the names.
Yeah, Senor Fish is dead last for me. Okay, so they go to El Coyote, though, a little later in this episode. But first, Kristen and Luke, very quickly at the start of this episode, they go, let's have a baby very soon. And Kristen goes, I want a little girl very soon. And I thought that was really sweet because the timing of it was perfect. Kristen has had a little girl as of 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and she was wishing for that. So it was really sweet. And Luke does a great job in this episode, too. He's very... you can tell that it really means a lot to him to get every step of this engagement thing right. And he's being really sweet to Kristen throughout this entire thing, even though we find out that he's dealing with the worst thing in the world that any human could deal with, which is that his grandmother is actively potentially going to pass away from cancer. So he's got to film this show, think about Kristen and his engagement, plan a trip to Hawaii, and then also think about his grandma the entire time. Yeah. So sad.
I'm like, my timeline is so skewed where I swear to God, I thought with every part of my being that Kristen was pregnant when she was proposed to.
I know.
I 100% thought that.
I think that she got pregnant with a month or two after, if I was able to do the timeline, because it does seem like those were just coinciding events. Then they go to a dinner. Lunch. Danny, Nia, Zach, and Benji. Zach admits that he knows, because he's kind of a little sleuth himself. He knows that Luke is going to be proposing to Kristen, so he's kind of in on it with Danny and Nia now. And then they send out the invites into the world to go on this kind of spur-of-the-moment Hawaii trip. I thought it had been maybe talked about, but everyone was just like, there's a cast trip coming up. It's coming up in a week. You'll find out what it is today, and then that's when they start pretending to do the invites for this thing.
They like call Kristen and they're like, we're gonna go to Hawaii, and she's just like, okay.
She was like, I was expecting a cast trip at some point. They make
a whole rigmarole about like who's inviting who, and it'll be suspicious or whatever, and I'm like, no one cares.
It's like logistically we don't care, as long as nobody is like isolated or cut out. Like, I'm glad that they're just all going and they figured it out logistically. Okay, next scene. Oh my God, I mean, this is what the Valley is for me. Yes. I loved it from start to finish. Jesse, Jax, Jason, Luke, and Danny are all meeting Scott, the life coach. This is what I dreamed of last week. I got to get Scott and Jax in a room together right now to heal Jax's many wounds and traumas that he's suffering through, and to heal him. And Scott and Jesse must have thought the same thing, because they say, let's get in a circle all together, and we're going to do Scott's treatment for how to get better. And Scott says,
Scott's way.
Scott goes, we've all got a bunch of stones that are piling up in our bodies. I call them a list, and it's all of our horrible triggers and traumas and all the things we're working with. And we got to get through that list and whittle it down. So he goes, in order to do that, I need you to put your hand on your buddy's chest and say what they did wrong to you that made you feel a certain way. The other person can't talk at all. It's just so that that person can release that awful feeling out of their body. I loved everything about that concept. At first, though, I thought that no one was going to adhere to it and properly do it because they were all too embarrassed or ashamed or something. But then Jesse gets the ball rolling, and he kind of goes back to the old well with Luke. He goes, last season you were defending, Kristen too steadily, and it made me pissed off at you. And then Luke accepts it or whatever, and you actually see that it seemingly helped Jesse a little bit get that off his chest, because now he's much better friends with Luke. So he wanted to bury the hatchet on that old season 1 grudge.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it felt like the only twosome that actually needed to do this was Jason and Danny, which it's not totally resolved, but they, get emotional while doing it. But in between that, Jax, for some reason, because he just wants to say it to everyone, but he chooses the proxy is Scott, and he breaks down a couple times. He's like, I'm having a real rough time in life. I'm a very angry human being, and I take it out on everybody, especially my wife. And Scott is like, brother, people out there love a redemption. They are going to look to you for inspiration, and I am proud of you.
Yeah, and so it didn't really work, though, because unfortunately Jax didn't have someone that he needed to get some pain off his chest. Scott wasn't. He also didn't put his hand on Scott's chest. I was like, Jax, he just said the instructions.
The rubric is ruined.
You put it on his shoulder. It doesn't make any sense. And I guess Jax isn't pissed off. There's nothing that he should be pissed off about with anyone else in that group. He's the one who wreaks havoc on everyone. So
yeah.
This didn't work. This format didn't work for Jax, who it's needed for the most. So he needs to have more one-on-one sessions with Scott immediately. Book them right now. But I did love, I'm sentimental when it came to the Danny and Jason thing, because you can tell that Jason wants to hold firm to his, not hatred, but his feelings and being upset about Danny and Darkside Drunko popping out. And then but you can tell he goes, Danny's a good person, and I want to make this work. He just needs to acknowledge his drinking. And then I love when Jesse goes, hey, Darkside Drunko over there likes to hide all of his drinks, and he pretends that he didn't have enough drinks. And Scott goes, what was that? And Darkside Drunko goes, Scott goes, wait, what the hell did you say? Do you say that you go to a bar and you'll order 3 drinks and then you'll pound 3 of them but only bring back 1? And Danny goes, yeah, I do that. And he goes, and you're kind of like, ha ha ha, look what I got away with. I'm kind of Darkside Drunko, and I just drank 3 drinks. And Danny goes, yeah, I do that sometimes. And I was like, and then Jason goes, oh my God. He goes, he's actually admitting to some of this behavior. He admitted, and it's true because that was the first time that Danny acknowledged, because that behavior, I don't rank it at all up to the most nefarious deeds that have ever been committed by a Bravo cast member, but I did like that him having to hear Scott have that skeptical look at that behavior. It did make Danny think, oh, I do secretly drink a bunch of drinks so I can get drunker, but I don't want people to know around me that
especially now.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's just like he kind of hit the nail on the head for one aspect of Danny's relationship with drinking, which I liked that Danny finally acknowledged something about it. That that made sense to me.
Because I think it was last week where Janet's talking shit about Drunko, and Nia goes, he had 2 seltzers, and Janet's like, you fucking wish.
She goes, is that what he told you? I'm gonna leave right now because you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
So anything else about this scene, Scott? I could use a couple more of these, but I think that Jax needs to call Scott, like I said. And it was a worthwhile scene for me, especially with the Danny Jason stuff, everything I just mentioned. But Jax needs to do that times 100 for every day of his life. Maybe it's not with Scott, but he needs additional treatment in addition to what he already did.
Yeah, he alluded that he had tackled some very intense childhood subjects about like his mother and reasons why he harbors anger, and I'm like, I want to know.
I know he wouldn't say what it was. He has alluded to his dad being a total screamer, blowing his top, all the time.
I would pay like $40 an episode for him and Brittany to go on that Showtime show Couples Therapy. I would like watch the shit out of that.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
Oh, that would be so amazing. Oh, I watched that one time. Is that when they're in a big glass house?
It's just a normal therapy office.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of that one couple show where they're in a big glass case. No, the one that you're thinking.
What is that?
No, I'm thinking of the one where the doctor's office is actually a facade, and they're filming from every angle of it, right?
Oh.
Is that what it is? I'm sorry. Well, I'm thinking of a different show. Isn't couples therapy where it's like, we can get every angle of this room because the whole thing is a stage, but it's supposed to look like a therapy office? Or am I thinking of a different show?
Well, it is filmed. But maybe it probably is a stage. I don't know.
Okay, maybe I saw the first episode and they talk about that
with Orna.
More. Oh yeah, maybe. Sorry, I fully saw it once, but I agree with your original premise that I would love to see Jax and Brittany on it. I would absolutely love that because, well, an interesting thing about this is that now Brittany has no adherence to Jax or she doesn't need to accommodate his behavior anymore, and she's allowed to open the floodgates because Jax can't seek revenge on her at this point. Yeah. So she's letting loose all of the torrent of bad behavior and things that Jax has done, and that's why we got the Frank Dremon reveal. It's kind of like what Stassi used to do intermittently on Vanderpump Rules, when she'd be like, one time I came home and Jax was naked watching porn when I came home after going to the grocery store for 15 minutes, because she didn't care at all at Jax about this point. And now we're going to get 10 years of stories like that from Brittany if she wants to.
Right. Okay, so now we go to El Coyote. It's all the ladies. Nia and Janet are still not in a good place. Michelle reveals that Aaron is coming to Hawaii. Everyone's sort of talking about what the trip is going to be, and Jasmine keeps saying, I heard there's a surprise. What's the thing that's going to happen once we're there? And Kristen's like, oh yeah, what? And Nia's like, shut the fuck up. And she just plays it off we're planning something. Don't worry about it. It'll be fun for everyone.
Yeah, but Jasmine almost completely blows it. And then Michelle goes, hey, she was in another thing. You two over there, Kristen. What about that Jenna person that's been coming around that had made love to Aaron back in 2016? I don't like that kind of stuff that's going on over there. And Kristen goes, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. She's like,
And then we find out that Zach was the one who said, Jenna, Jesse, get a load of this. You're going to love this. This person, Jenna, who we've now found out from our wonderful Villa Rosa VIPs, was all over the place on Vanderpump Rules. We just forgot her. Not very remarkable. She's the one who I think had sex with James at some point. The one that the Uber recipient, where after he drank a bunch of Fireball, he made love to Jenna. So she's been all over the place, but she also, Michelle resents that Jenna is kind of there because of her relationship with Aaron. It's almost, you can see the producer fingerprints all over it. They're like, Jenna should go to a bunch of stuff because then we'll have something happen about Michelle and Aaron.
Yeah. All of a sudden she's in every episode. She's in a scene later. But yeah, Kristen's like, I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. I have nothing to do with it. I don't care about that. Janet is like apparently, in her opinion, drunk off her ass. She's like interjecting. She's like, Kristen, you're not accountable for anything. Like, we need to hold you accountable. And everyone's like, shut up. Like, God.
Probably go take her margarita away from her. This is
Like, even Michelle, who she's like technically defending, is like, ugh.
Yes, this is annoying. And then I forget. Yes, she goes, you don't like this word accountable. You're a sniper from the sides. Like, and you know, just using all of her grudges against Kristen to go in on her. And then Kristen goes, I will not take this disrespect. I'm walking out of El Coyote. And then Janet screams at the top of her lungs. I've never heard her scream this loud. She says, see ya, get your to-go box from El Coyote. And she's screaming. And Sheena's like, shut up.
Yeah.
She's like, Janet, stop. Please.
Come on now.
You're embarrassing us. And Jasmine's like, I don't like this Janet at all. She's horrible. Yeah. She's drunk at El Coyote.
Yeah.
And then Nia goes, I'm going to start crying right now. She's all alone. She's left alone. And Janet goes, of course you're going to cry. Just when things get hard, she's going to cry. And then that's when Nia says, fuck you, Janet. And she walks off immediately, too.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm like, on the first season, Nia was like so freshly postpartum that like, so she cried when Danny's pants got pulled down, and she would like get so upset about stuff where you'd be like, oh, she's sensitive, but like that's how it is when you're so hormonal or whatever. But I'm like, well, I think she's just like that.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
She just hates this negativity.
Yeah, she really doesn't like conflict. But then at the scene last week, which we just talked about, where she was kind of confronting Janet and talking to her and making her voice heard, Janet just runs away because she's like, "You're not worth my time." So Nia does get that conflict resolution urge out sometimes, but just Janet hasn't been a willful participant. Nia does end up doing a good job when they get to Hawaii in the water for a second in the pool.
Yeah.
She kind of throws some jabs at Janet later, which I really liked.
Sure.
We don't have to talk about flag football.
No, it sucked.
But so that's really where there's such a divide in the entertainment of the Valley, where you're like, we're watching that men's healing circle with Scott where they're putting their hands on their chest and eliminating their lines of trauma. And then we're watching Jax get served divorce papers. Jesse's screaming his ass off, calling Michelle horrible names. And then we still got to go to like boring sports events. And they didn't even put some stuff in here to make it good. It was just It was tug of war. I will say that this is the scene where Jax, there had to be a bunch of security guards around Jax. This came out whenever this was filmed. TMZ was like, look at Jax, he's back filming on the Valley, but there's like security all over. Maybe it was just security. Now that I'm thinking of it, I'm like, maybe there's just security because they're filming and they don't want park people to come up. But I remember that there was like a big news item about Jax filming at that park, and this was that scene.
The only thing I'll say is that Janet reveals that she hates sports and that growing up, instead of sports, she did magic lessons. And I was like, okay, it's giving Lil from Summer House.
Oh, totally. But I will say that I related because that was me completely. I was the one who was making my parents watch my magic shows because I couldn't play sports.
Usually the people that end up in comedy delve in magic as well.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Martin, Nathan Fielder.
Oh, my God. Oh, the list could just keep on going. Steve Martin, Nathan
Probably
Fielder.
Weird Al. I'm not sure, but sounds right.
Weird Al. Oh, yeah, I could keep going. Yeah.
Gallagher.
Gallagher, in a way, you could argue, does sort of magic. I don't see magic at all anymore. Do you?
I know. I went to this bar in the Valley, Tony's Darts Away, and there was randomly a magician going around.
Oh, that's so cool. What kind of tricks was
it was like
doing?
Cards.
Oh,
I avoided it. I didn't want it.
I told you, I've said this at length, but I went to Vegas and I had my mind blown at this tableside magician that came. He pulled cards out of places that I have never
Where the
seen
sun
before.
don't shine.
We were blown away. Let's just say that. Okay. After this, Luke goes, I've got the perfect excuse. This is what I was referring to earlier. Luke goes, I got the perfect excuse. I'm going to give my gecko to Kyle Chan to put in his gecko terrarium. But I also get to get my big 4-carat diamond ring from Kyle, but Kristen's tracking my location so I can only spend 5 minutes in here. The amount of time that a gecko drop-off takes. And then he gives the ring, and then I have to say really quickly that Luke, I'm really warming up to Luke. I know a lot of people don't like him. They say, who the fuck is this guy? But I think I liked how he handled Jesse in the scene with Scott where he was joking with Jesse about putting his hand on his chest. And then I really liked when he said, Kyle Chan, I love you, buddy. And he gave Kyle a big hug. I was like, oh my God, I could sense the love that he has for Kyle Chan. And you could tell that I think that Kyle Chan really loves Luke too. Which is,
I mean, everybody loves Kyle Chan.
Yeah.
Like, everybody.
I think, for the most part, people really like Luke too on this cast. Remember when Luke went up in that circle and he goes, I didn't like Los Angeles because I didn't have a family, and now you all are my family, and they all were kind of like swooning. I thought that was really sweet. I'm just proud of Luke because he had the biggest odds against him as a cast member, and I think that he's actually doing some good work here as a cast member, being authentic to himself.
Yeah. So then where are we?
So then I'm sorry. So then okay. So then all of a sudden Jax goes. Okay, so sorry, but Luke did have to go. We won't say this, but I'm so sorry that to Luke. He's suffering through a big thing, which I already mentioned. But he had to go, take a trip to go see his grandma. He comes back, but then Jax goes to brunch. And he goes, I'm really thirsty. I'm going to have a Diet Coke and a coffee. And then he goes, I'm waiting here to have a conversation with Brittany. And he goes, I'm going to unload all of my troubles. And I don't have a leg to stand on here. So I'm just going to talk about everything. And I'm just going to listen. But then Brittany calls him, or he calls Brittany.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm not coming. I saw you drunk as a skunk at Jax's Studio City. You were doing karaoke, you were spinning around, you locked yourself in the bathroom drunk, you were taking picture frames and then putting your face behind the frame so people thought that they were looking at pictures of you while you were standing behind it. And she goes, I woke up to so many DMs of your drunken behavior, hiding behind the couch, those big outdoor couches. He was hiding behind them and scaring guests as they walked in.
The couchy couch.
So he was doing this kind of drunk stuff, and Brittany goes, so you lost the rights to see me today. And Jax is left sitting there.
He's like, what? She said that she got like 1 million DMs about him popping off with girls at the bar. She's like, you're a terrible, vile human being. And he says in his confessional, he's like, we're not together anymore. So what I do on my time is none of your business. And I'm like, well, it is if you're like in an era where you're getting drug tested and, you were just away for 30 days and you're trying to get custody of your son. Like, it actually is her business currently.
Yeah. And also, if you want to party and tie the knot or whatever that's called, rub a knot. If you want to
rub a knot.
If you want to
tie one off.
Go not your bar where people are taking photos of you like a zoo animal.
He can't
where they're
resist.
I know, but I don't know, but go do some wild partying somewhere where you're not the center of attention for every single photo that someone is going to take. You're the star of that place. But yeah, you're right. He can't resist. But he does say, I went home at 11. But at this point, you have to just believe, Brittany, that he was so drunk in those photos. And so she left him hanging there. He was supposed to have a scene with Brittany, and she said, I'm not showing up.
He's like, this is so embarrassing. He has to get his coffee to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we fly away to Maui. They're all checking in at the Hyatt
Did you
Regency.
like how quick we got there?
That was nice. Although I was like, it was weird that we even started being there at the end of this episode, because it's like you barely got anything.
We talked about this. I don't like this new structure where they always put trips at the end so they can stretch them out for 4 or 5 episodes instead of just 3. When we did Morocco, we were like, oh, it's just 3 clean cut episodes back to back
on their way. Yeah.
But they were in Hawaii within 1 second. It was like, we're in Hawaii, put a pineapple on your door. Now.
They check in, and for some reason, I didn't really understand how this happened, but Jesse and Zach got upgraded to a presidential suite. But they're in the same one?
I didn't know either. I think they got doled out a bunch of presidential suites, and Zach could put them on, give them to anybody. And so then Luke was like, I'm going to be proposing to Kristen. Why couldn't I have got one of the presidential suites? I think there was 3
But why? I think that.
Oh, was there only one?
Yeah, there's only one.
Sorry. Oh, wow.
And
What the
he's
hell am I
saying
talking
like,
about?
I should, like, he was like, I'm not going to give it to Kristen and Luke now
it's too
because they'll be
obvious.
suspicious, but it sounds like maybe they'll switch off once the deed happens. But I don't understand why Jesse has to share. Like, I'm like, I don't want the presidential suite if I have to share with a couple.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I thought that was the room to be in, in my opinion. But yeah, no,
They're goofing off.
I thought the scene was so fun when they're spritzing water on each other in the shower. Jesse goes, "Come on, enough! Get out of there. I need
no
to take a
funny
shower."
biz.
No, I didn't. You know what? I obviously didn't understand it because I said there were 3 rooms. So I thought that
I thought Jesse got one, and then that Zach got one, but then they're in the same room.
Right. I think maybe they wanted to make the most out of the presidential suite. But yeah, you're right. No, I think Jesse goes, I didn't know that I was going to have to be in the room with Benji and Zach. I'm not sure what happened there, but it's definitely kind of like a fun dynamic in that room. I can't wait to see like what they get up to in the next couple of episodes. But Luke is dismayed. He goes, man, he's like, I wish they would have given it to me. Like, that we're going to get engaged on this trip.
Yeah.
Do they immediately go into the pool?
Yeah, pretty much. They're all in the pool, and then there's a 4-way conversation. It's Janet, Jason,
because
Mia,
Jason and Danny, they are like 2 magnets that are put in the right position to attract each other and not repel each other. It's 2 friends just gotta hang out. This happened in Miami, which I'm so excited to talk about, when Larsa and Lisa, did you watch this? We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
But Larsa and Lisa are in Milan, and they love each other so much, and they're having so much fun, but they don't like each other, so they have to pretend like they have to be mad at each other. But it's like, you 2 love each other, and you want to hang out so bad, and you're in Milan together. It was really an interesting dynamic, and that's kind of how Jesse and Danny were here. They're just like, okay, well, let's just bring the big huddle over, have Nia and Janet, and then Janet comes hat in hand, proverbially.
Yes. Yeah, she's like, those margs and shots were so strong, I never should have yelled at you. I deserved every bit of that fuck you. Danny apologizes to Janet for, popping off, and, it seems fine for now.
Full mea culpas all around. Nia does get the couple jabs in there. She goes, oh, you were drunk that early in the night? And Janet doesn't take the bait. She goes, yes, I'm sorry. I love those margaritas. And then also when Janet goes, well, thanks so much for inviting us. I sure as hell wouldn't have invited you. You know how I am. Nia and Danny do not laugh at all. Like, they're not ready for that kind of humor. And they're also suspicious of Janet because they know she can turn on a dime on them at any time. And then while that's happening, Jesse is in his room. He's post-pool, and he hears Benji and Zach splashing around in the shower, and Zach is pouring so much water on Benji that Benji's trying to get away under the shower head, and he biffs his head majorly on the side of the shower, and Jesse goes, knock it off in there! He goes, I need to shower! Get out of there right now! And then Jesse goes, I'm steamed. He's like, I'm getting pissed. He goes, I've been thinking about Aaron a lot more. I saw Aaron in the pool and on the beach with Michelle, kind of rubbing it in my face that they love each other, and I want to ask him kind of right now in the next hour if he cheated on my wife, or cheated with my wife against me.
Yeah, he's also pissed off that Aaron hangs out with his daughter without having a man-to-man with him about it. So that is going to blow up at the dinner that they head to at the end of this episode, but will obviously be next week, which I feel like, I bet it just ends up fine.
I think Aaron's going to say no. I didn't have sex with your wife and commit infidelity upon you. Because the odds are in that favor, right? That he would not admit to what he did.
Right.
His dog's name's Kilo. Did you see that?
Yes.
Did you see the rumors going around that they said that take this with a grain of salt.
Cocaine.
Coke. But people said that his dog's name is Kilo, and all of his honey products are like drug innuendo. And I haven't researched this myself. Did you see that? Where it's like the best fine grade honey that you could ever have, or I don't know, but I'm wary to accuse anybody else of doing coke after the blowback for what I thought was Jody doing big rails of coke up his nose on Miami. But they kind of, not to talk about Miami, but they kind of are getting into it a little bit, like that Jody might be a little bit of a
snifter.
Yeah, a little snifter. So yeah, I didn't like that they just wedged Hawaii in at the very end, especially when nothing major happens. And then they're kind of like, well, we'll tease you with this Jesse, conversation that happens next week.
Right.
But obviously that conversation, I think it'll be entertaining no matter what happens to have Jesse confront Aaron in the moment about cheating. And then there's a lot of stuff to look forward to on this trip. The engagement of Kristen and Luke. Luke's going to propose on a big fishing boat.
Yeah. I hope that happens like next week.
So we don't have to wait.
Yeah.
We're waiting. We're waiting for, a couple episodes. But so we probably agree that last week was a heavy hitter. This one still had some fun moments, but when you got flag football and tug of war in an episode, you're not getting the full-blown Turtle Time stamp of approval. Absolutely not.
Although when Summer House did kickball, I was like lapping it up like a dog in a dish.
I take it back. That was one of the best episodes of Summer House. That was amazing.
I was like, he caught it. That was awesome.
Oh my God. And they did like a play-by-play when Paige got the final ball and got the last out. It was like the most celebratory thing I've ever seen.
I was like, did you see that?
That's how you fucking do it. Watch Summer House if you want to put random sports in an episode. But this was just like weird team building shit.
Sucked.
Man, Sheena is still on autopilot too. She didn't even. All she said was, "Janet, shut up" at El Coyote. But like, why? I love Sheena more than almost anybody in the world. But I was just like, are you just not purposefully not talking on the show? You're like set decoration on the Valley.
Yeah.
Like we're just supposed to. It's like familiarity or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Why have her as a friend of if she's not going to do anything besides bring Jenna to tug of war? Right.
Yeah, her and Lala still unjustified on the after show, and Brock especially.
Yeah. Oh, Schwartz though. Schwartz earned his paycheck by having that scene with Jackson. You've been served. That's one of the best scenes of the Valley in its history. All right, well, let's let our Villa Rosa VIPs and Little Turtle Cuties go. We have done the Turtle Time mission, our report card. We definitely talked about news. I think without a doubt we talked Dermot Mulroney, and then we recapped 2 episodes of the Valley. A little extra credit there for Turtle Time. We hope we provided at least one smile or giggle, which is the Turtle Time mission, or made you think with one of our hot takes. That's another one of our missions. And please, we've been, we had a week off. So a lot of you didn't probably review us or comment or like us on YouTube or do anything that we beg you to do all the time. So now we need you to do double time. 2 comments on YouTube, 2 thumbs ups on YouTube, 2 reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, maybe one on Spotify.
I love Spotify comments. Do you ever dig into those Spotify comments? People go, we're on Spotify. Don't forget about us. And they'll say, Spotify it's so nice that I don't ever think about Spotify listeners. I'm just not a Spotify person, so it's so nice to dig into. They have this like weird way that you have to get to the comments. You have to like do like 7 steps. But once I unearth those things, they're so fun to see. And then lastly, or do you want to tout our wonderful Patreon?
Oh yes, as always, we mention it every week, but we recap Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning. We are currently in season 7. James just got fired for like the 10th time from DJing See You Next Tuesday, and he cried and said he'll never do anything naughty again. So it's in like we're in the prime still. We weren't sure. We thought maybe it started tipping downward, but it's still bomb. So join us every week, and then when you join just for $5, you can go back. You could listen to 100 episodes in a month if you could.
Yeah, you could be one of the wildest people on earth and just pay $5. We don't want you to do this. We don't recommend it, but you could pay $5 and listen to 120 episodes, and just run away with your money still in your wallet. Only $5 shy, but don't do that. Savor them over months and years. And we have to thank our Villa Rosa VIPs who make Turtle Time possible. We love every single one of you, and we got a lot of new Villa Rosa VIPs actually while we were on vacation, which I thought was very sweet. So we cherish you all, and we cherish every single comment that comes out. So Villa Rosa VIPs, please comment your asses off all the time because Amy and I read them and love them and think about them, and they inform our discussion for the future because we use all of that. So, all right, Amy, let's say goodnight to each other. Let's say goodbye. Turtle time has been completed. And goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.